Hey, it's Professor Vector today with some ham radio projects using Blender. So, we talk about ham radio, CNC, 3D printing, CAD programs, and today we're going to combine a CAD program or a modeling program actually called Blender 3D from blender.org. And I'm going to show you how I built a ham radio shelf to use that as a model and went to Home Depot and got some wood cut to those specifications. So, one of the nice things you can do, this was the first shelf that I designed. I'll show you how this works. So you can grab these pieces and move them along the y-axis, or I can hit X and move them along the x-axis. Hit escape, or I can. So you just click on a object, which is one of these boards, and that's the sizes they are. They're 9 inches deep, and I can hit G to grab it, and then I will have free XYZ control to grab it. I can hit Z, and then it'll just move along the Z axis, so I can experiment with how this would look. And I hit escape to put it back where it was. And this is the other plate that has a different color, just so I can tell it's back there. And also move these around. And so what you want to do, this is this Blender 4.1 or 4.02 rather, in a corner. I'll show you the system info. Where is this at? Help. And about Blender. So Blender 4.02. Okay, so when you grab one of these boards, you can hit B. In the version 4 you can do this. You can hit B, and then see this little orange cursor that's going around the perimeter. You can lock it into an area like this area right there, not this side but the back side of the board. And then this will snap to any of these lines. So this is snapping, and you can get it lined up really easy that way. So that's a nice thing to do. So when you take one of these shelf units and it's way off, go click on it and hit G, and then hit B and grab an edge. Like in this case, we want to use that edge, and that will lock into the front, or you can lock it to snap it, I should say, not lock it. So that's the easy way to move these. Now, how do you make these shelves? Well, this is what I started out with. And there's a few lessons I learned from going to Home Depot. No, this is not. See that little gap? Hit Shift and the middle mouse button to scroll over so I can move this in the Y, or in the X position. And this is without snapping. If I want to hit snapping, I can hit B. Let's grab this edge. And it snaps there, there, there. It snaps, see? Snaps there. So it's very easy with Blender 4.0. Prior versions of 4.0 don't do that, so you have to actually look at your coordinates and kind of line them up. And the center of the object is where the coordinate is, this 3D cursor. So it's a little bit harder. But I started out with this design. I went to Home Depot and I had two guys cutting boards. One of the things I used was OptiCutter. So I bought my Home Depot boards, 2x4 medium density fiber boards, 25 bucks a piece. I used 2 of those. I was trying to optimize it, and you got to account for the kerf of the blade. When you cut, it's not like cutting with scissors where you cut a piece of paper in half and you have 2 equal halves, and there's no sawdust or no, missing piece. So the saw blade is about 1/8 of an inch thick, and it takes, that's where your sawdust comes from. The saw blade takes out 1/8 of an inch. So if you got a 2-foot board and you cut it right down the middle, you'll end up with a 1/16 of an inch short on this side and a 1/16 short on that side. If you cut this to 2 feet, on that side of the blade, then the other side will be 1/8 of an inch short. So OptiCutter is a website that you can use to type in all these different size boards that you need, and it'll tell you how to cut them. So a few lessons from Home Depot that I learned. First of all, let me tell you how I made these shelves, okay? So let's go, we're in object mode, and we will select the whole thing, hit X, and delete it all. And then we'll go Shift A, and we'll add a mesh, and we'll add a cube, okay? So there's our cube, hit period, kind of centered on the screen. Now this is 2 inches by 2 inches by 2 inches. So my shelf unit was all 9 inches deep. The Z, I used 1/2 inch fiberboard, 1/2 inch MDF, so it was only a 1/2 inch tall, like that. And then the X was, whatever size I needed. Like I wanted 19 inches, and I would play with those. And then I would make a few of them. I would hit Control C, move the mouse over, hit Control V, copy it, hit G, and there's my copy, hit V, G, there's another one. And then I would make my vertical pieces, okay? So I'd go Shift A, add a mesh, a cube. Only this cube over here is going to be, its X is going to be a 1/2 inch wide because it's a vertical board, and say it's 24 inches tall. Oops, that's not tall. It's we want it to be Y. Oops, 9 inches, and then we want this to be 24 tall. So hit G, move it over. Let's grab this guy, hit G, B, take that corner, and we could lock it to that corner. See, I grabbed the wrong corner, didn't I? Should have grabbed the top corner. So I select this board, hit G, B, and select that top corner right there, and lock it into there, because that's where I wanted it. Or unless I want it across the top. If I wanted it across the top, I would hit G, B, and grab the bottom corner and go there. And if I want this board longer, I can just change the dimensions. So that's 19 inches. In fact, in one of the cases, I had a 21 inch board, but see, it moves it from the center out. So you gotta move this again, hit B, go up to there. Where were we? Well, those are overlapping, so that's not right. G, B, there. Or we could hit G, B, and put this on top, which would be the better way to do it. G, B, there, and move that like that, which is the way I actually built mine. So anyway, after playing around with this for, a few minutes, an hour, whatever, I ended up with a shelf that looks like that. And I went to Home Depot, and they say, we do not cut everything accurate to 1/8 of an inch. So you notice that that's on the top. Those sit on top. And then I actually put little boards in here for support, and I glued boards this way to keep those up, because some of the screws were splitting the wood on the MDF because I didn't drill them out. So I had a few splits there, and I did have a pneumatic staple gun, but it only works in the down position. It doesn't work horizontally. So I ended up not using that. But that's the first design. And when I came home, I learned these lessons. That one, that's the project in the make, and I spray painted it. But so I cut these and I set my kerf So their vertical saw that was cutting up and down, this big track saw, is actually very accurate. They say they do not cut within 1/8 of an inch, but I usually say, I know that, but just do your best. And a lot of times it's spot on and it's perfect and it's square. Then another guy was taking these boards and cutting these, the other guy was cutting these little boards out on a table saw. Well, the table saw fence was not square to the blade, so when I got these home, they were off. In fact, some of these shelf pieces, like the main track saw cut this, and he cut that, and then he did these cuts on the table saw, and I had parallelograms, and depends on how he flipped the board, they're off maybe a degree or something like that. So the lesson learned was, let Home Depot do the rough cuts, make them 1/8 of an inch bigger. And then I goofed up because I wanted one of these boards 21 inches, and I got lost in the shuffle, and he was cutting things, and I said 19, and I came home and I got no 21-inch board, but a 19-inch board. So my wife was with the tape measure, you know, checking them to make sure they were good. Well, we didn't check to see if they were square. So the lesson learned is to take this sheet and number them. And when they give you a board, measure it, check it off. Say, I got board 1, I got board 2, I got board 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then if they're not square, take them home on your table saw, miter saw, whatever you got, and square them up. So overcut some of these boards. Do not enter the exact numbers that you're playing with over here. But what I ended up doing after those mistakes, it looked a lot more like this. Oops, I just added a dimension. So I added dimensions to it and played around with where my stuff would fit, power supply, ICOM radios, and stuff like that. And I was very happy with it for less than $100 with 2 cans of spray paint, some clear coat. I put it all together and glued it, let it dry for a day, and then I spray painted it all, and Blender kind of came to the rescue really good and helped me design that and visualize it. And everything is free. The OptiCut program, opticutter.com is free, blender.org is free. It just takes a little bit of elbow grease and, you know, off you go. So, and this is what it ended up looking like. So, appreciate you if you like and subscribe to the channel, like always. Got to get those subscribers up there, and hope you learned something. Thanks.